Good morning, everyone. I'm Rajan Anandan. I lead Google's business here in India. We're thrilled to have all of you here because clearly in your respective industries, you'll lead and shape the industries. And I think from an information technology standpoint, many of you have chartered the path for Indian IT. What I thought I would do is just give you a very brief overview about Google and then share with you some exciting new things we're doing. Because that shows, I think, what can be done with cloud technologies. Let me just start with our business at Google and what it is that we do. Google started, was founded in 1999 and became very quickly the world's largest search engine. We actually have other products that now are getting pretty close to what search is in terms of usage. YouTube is actually the world's largest online video network. And interestingly, YouTube has 800 million users globally now. Probably the single biggest consumer trend that we're going to see in the internet over the next 5, maybe 10 years. It's really mobile. And mobile is very, very important to us. Android is Google's operating system. Over a period of 4 or 5 years, we've become the world's largest smartphone operating system. We are activating about 800,000 new users a day on Android. And then we also have the enterprise business, which is what we're here to engage with you all, with all of you on over the next couple of days, right? Part of our enterprise business that you may have most of exposure, primarily from your consumer experience, is really apps, right? It's Gmail, it's Docs, it's basically the application portfolio that we have. The platform, which we'll talk to you about, Google Plus has now crossed 100 million users around the world. And then we've got a number of other products. Search, obviously we've taken, I think, the world-class search technologies that we have, we've taken it to the enterprise, so you have enterprise search. And geospatial really is about taking our products like Google Earth, Google Maps, etc., and combining that to create very powerful enterprise solutions. In India, we already have over 200,000 businesses that have gone Google. They've embraced Google's enterprise products. What I'd like to do is just take a couple of minutes around the major trends that we believe will dramatically impact, influence, and reshape enterprise IT over the next 4 or 5 years, right? The first big trend is really mobile. 2 billion internet users in the world today. 1 billion internet users access the internet from a mobile device. This is actually my new PC. I spent 2 days in Bombay, 1 day in Bangalore. I was in Delhi yesterday. I've probably done 100 approvals. I've probably checked 5,000 emails. I've looked at probably about 40 PowerPoint documents. And I've actually accessed Google's whole bunch of our systems on this device. The second one is really social. Facebook has 840 million users. Google Plus has gone from 0 to 100 million users in 8 months. There are over about a billion users now who are using social networks. What's interesting, though, is I don't know how many of you have actually adopted a social platform within your enterprise. We've had that up and running now at least for about 8 or 9 months. And I must say, it has changed a lot of what we do, right? We're sharing a lot more. We're collaborating a lot more. And the last one is obviously the cloud, which all of you are very familiar with. The estimates are that this year, 20% of businesses will not own IT assets. These are sort of the 3 major patterns of disruption that we think will have an impact on enterprise IT. Average company size in the room is about 7,200 employees. Interestingly, 47% of all these employees are below the age of 30. Clearly, at least in this room, we're represented by large businesses with lots of young people who have a global presence. And then if you look at a couple of those, 38% already have some of their data on the clouds. Not surprisingly, the number one concern is security. Enterprise growth, reducing costs are the top two priorities. What I'd like to do now is invite Amit.
Believe it or not, there's an underlying technology shift that's occurring that's changing how businesses operate. What I want to share with you is what that global picture looks like. The biggest thing that people are talking about today on the business is innovation. Finding ways to do things differently is what people are trying to do. There's a whole new set of changes that are driven by the consumer economy, driven by young people that are finding their way into the enterprise, Fortune 50 companies, Fortune 100 companies. They feel there's a technology underpinning to transformation that's happening in their consumer lives, and they're just not able to see that change and space and momentum coming into their internal technology. I'll talk about 3 things. The first thing is around globalization. The second thing around the change from working alone to working together. And the shift from size to speed, which you've heard Thomas before, around the world is flat. India's been a great beneficiary of this. But you know, this can happen to us here as well. Work can move from India and is moving from India to other locations. As the world gets flatter and flatter, work will move where the combination of value and price is the most beneficial to the company. The second major trend is this movement from working alone to working together. The best example is watch your kids. Completely new way of working. And the difference in the future is going to be this networks of companies working together and how fast they can respond to the changing climate in business. The third major trend is speed. I mean, you can look at what's happening in consumer electronics. And the pace of innovation and change is absolutely, I mean, it's frightening and frankly tiring. It's really hard to compete with those players that are built on these global platforms. This is the right time to rethink that and say, what is that next generation going to look like of systems that are moving much faster to respond to this kind of speed? So those are the three things. Fast-moving global companies that work together is what you'll be competing with in the next 10 to 15 years. We are really excited that we take consumer innovation and bring that to enterprise. And we're building around these 4 key principles. Build products where people can work together, anywhere, work on any device, and work anytime. The mobile, collaborative, social, cloud are the product categories in which we compete. That's a really interesting user case for us for our cloud solution. The first question, although it's become less as larger and larger companies have come to the Google Cloud, is security. Tell me about your security policy. How do you connect all the dots, make sure that I'm going to be comfortable and we'll be safe? I assure you that most of these companies would not have come to a cloud if they haven't done it with their customer data and keep that in the cloud. The big advantage of moving to the cloud is it should be substantially cheaper for you. Cost is not the story. I know it's an important part of the story, but it's really what it enables you to do. It frees you up to do other things. We know how to run very large, massively, highly scaled systems on any device. You can connect to a BlackBerry, Apple, or Android. Productivity and collaboration is the second most requested capability. It's a utility-based model. And the idea is once you get into that model, we continue to give you the new releases. You live on the web, and all you need to do is refresh the browser and the next release is out there. We released 216 different major features in Google Apps last year. Look, I don't have to do anything, and new functionality just shows up. And guess what? The users love it. They're used to that concept in their consumer lives, and they're finally getting that in their work lives. The last generation of applications were built for very deep use cases on highly functional, like you are a procurement clerk in a particular department, and that's what you do. These are really deep architectural changes in your core IT platforms that don't exist today. So what does this look like? Let me invite Kenny H. to come on up here and kick off this part of the demo.
A little bit quickly, I'm just going to run through a few slides here to kind of talk a little more in depth about Google Apps for Business before we get to the demo. So Google Apps for Business are effectively a set of messaging and collaboration applications for the cloud, which were designed originally for consumers, but we've packaged up for enterprise. Why we think that Google Apps are fundamentally different than a lot of the desktop-based solutions that you might use otherwise. The first one is built around individual sharing. So you have a document which is stored in the cloud, delivered by an application which is served from the cloud, which you can share with any one of your employees or colleagues. In the Google Apps space, there is one document which is stored in the cloud, which everybody can come into. It's shared between everyone, and all of your updates come into the same place. The second sort of core architectural part of Google Apps is real-time collaboration. If you open up the document and start working on it, it's still accessible to anybody else to work on it as well. And the last, Google Apps actually does work on any device. So that's it for my slides. We'll start the demo. I have Shashank here, who's an enterprise sales manager. And Shashank is going to log in with his username. Altostrat is the company that we're using here as an example of enterprise. Altostrat has hosted its email with Google. So Shashank is logged in. This is Gmail. This is the same Gmail that you would experience in a consumer account, except for you can see up in the top left-hand corner the Altostrat logo. This is a customized Gmail experience for Altostrat. I've sent Shashank an email on my way home from work. And Shashank is working in the Gurgaon office, and I work in Sydney, so we're in different time zones. I said, hey, Shashank, can you update me on the progress of our wireless network upgrade proposal? Now, Shashank has opened up the document in the web browser. This is Google Docs. This is a word processor, data stored in Google's cloud, and Shashank is able to edit it through the web browser. Shashank isn't the only one who can work on this document. Here, Shashank is adding some colleagues. You can see he's just specifying them by email address. It's as simple as that. Kathy and Hisham. The document is now shared with edit privileges to all those other 4 people. You can see Kathy down in the timeline in the table. Kathy is typing. This is what we mean by real-time collaboration. There's no checkout, I work on it, check it back in. This is the document being edited as we speak. So I'm here on my iPad. I'll just go to Safari here. I'll just log into Google Docs. And here I've got all of my documents. And Shashank wants me to share the expense report. So, OK, there's the expense report. I'll go to the spreadsheet view. Yep, I want the desktop version. I'll just go ahead and share this with Shashank. I'm going to flip to your email there, Shashank. I've shared the spreadsheet with Shashank. Click on the link, and Shashank has access. In this case, we've built a Google Docs app for Android. I can open up my documents here. And this is a customized experience specifically for the mobile form factor. We have enabled real-time collaboration on the native applications on the mobile device. So I've just opened up this document that the Shashank has there, and I can just click here. And I can just start typing. And there I am in the document. So Shashank is still working in the document. He's had a whole interaction with me in the cloud, and we've managed to work together. Hope you've enjoyed that. I'm going to turn it over to Stuart.
What I'd like to do is talk to you about 2 things. The first thing is how you can use the Google Apps platform for not just Google Docs, but also for your wider enterprise content management requirements and storage. And the second thing is how the desktop is becoming a web top. The architecture behind the document is built for collaboration intrinsically. But you've got a lot of other content in your organization today. It's part of your ecosystem. It's the reality. Users have these documents all over the place. Security is really important. Users want to know that their information is secure. The reality is, though, when you store all these files in these different devices and different repositories, you're not sure about security. What happens if you leave your laptop in the back of a taxi or something? And storage, in reality, is expensive. We want to get to the point where you can store everything and share anything. And you can start using that same taxonomy framework that you get with Google Docs across your other files. So you bring this social collaboration across your wider content management. And we also believe we can do this at dramatically lower cost. We can also bring innovation that comes from a cloud architecture. OK, the second thing I wanted to talk about was how the desktop has become the web top. This looks like a stack of things that somebody's having to administer, managing the policies, the security, the upgrades for the user over a period of time. That's where your cost goes. The expectations of certainly consumers, but also your enterprise employees, is to have that level of sophistication and simplicity of applications on their desktop. So we believe there's a better way. And I just want to introduce Chrome OS. A number of benefits to Chrome OS, and this is one form factor. This is the laptop. First of all, the user experience. Secondly, security. It does a check at hardware and software when it boots up. It will not start unless it's secure. Thirdly, it's all cloud managed. All the policies for this device for the user is all managed in the cloud. And then if you're perhaps in the retail industry, you might be thinking about a form factor like a desktop device. Why don't you create a document just like you did before? That looks great. I think we might just want to disconnect and why don't you grab another Chromebook?
Absolutely, Hisham.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
That's it.
He's in. So why don't you bring up the document you were just working on? There you go. Why don't we come off the network?
Sure.
Using your Gmail, and go ahead and compose a message. Great. That'll be cached on a device, encrypted, and when he logs back on, it'll be synchronized back to his Gmail. So with that, I just want to wrap up and pass over to Hisham, who's going to talk about social.
What I want to talk to you about in this final session is what Google's doing in the sphere of social. And for us, this project is all about Google+, which I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, have heard. In fact, just another quick show of hands, how many of you are on Google+ today? Nice. What we mean by this is we have a set of applications that initially were built as standalone efforts, but over the years we've integrated them. Bringing that to the next step was being able to make it social, make people have the ability very quickly to add others to a conversation, to share documents within the organization. So that, for us, is what Google+ is. As you know, it started as a project for our consumer audience, but now we're very rapidly bringing this into the enterprise. And for us, it's a much deeper integration into the way that you can bring in other people in your organizations. And I'll give you a couple of quick examples to kind of bring this to life. At Google, we're obsessed with latency. So when we first started Hangouts in development several months ago, the time it took to get a Hangout started, while for most people perhaps it was perfectly adequate, at Google it felt a little bit too slow. And I wanted to voice my complaints about this. And so what I did is I had a Google+ post and I said, yeah, it's taking me on average 10 seconds to start a Hangout. We really need to get this much faster. That's all I did. I didn't add anyone else to the post. I just pushed that as kind of just feeling. Now, within 2 hours, not only had the PMs who were working on that efforts been added to the thread, but they were like super on edge and yes, we're working on this, we'll keep you posted, here's the bug. And I don't know any of these people, but people I know had added them and said, hey, take a look, we really need to fix this. The idea is you're developing parallel and new communication channels within your organization. In parallel with that, you can also use Google+ to interact with your customers. Switch over to the demo machine. What Shashank can do is he can go into his Google+ stream. So let's first show the stream. This is the stream which shows basically all the activities that Shashank has, posts that people have shared with him. He can very, very quickly share something that he's found online. This could also be a document. This could be a number of different items. And he can selectively decide who he's going to share that out with. So in this case, Shashank has created a circle. A circle is just a group of individuals called team. And then only the people in the circle called team are going to be able to view that. So that's just a very quick demo of the stream. We'll also now show you a Hangout. For us, Google+ Hangouts is the ultimate expression of collaboration. And we should see people joining the Hangout very, very soon. So we have various people in the room here. They should be joining. And then we'll have this, again, seamless video conferencing capability with many, many people happening at the same time. And really, that's just the beginning of what's possible with Hangouts. Because as I mentioned earlier, you also have the ability to add documents. So Shashank, while we get other people to join the Hangout, which is just happening now, could you go ahead and add a document so we'll see what that looks like?
Sure.
Today, the notion of meetings is very much set in a physical location. With Google+ Hangouts, you can take that very much outside the confines of your physical locations and have meetings on the road, on the go, wherever you are. I'm now in the Hangout as well, and I can see what's happening. I can see Ashok there on the screen. And again, we have a document happening at the same time. So mobile happening, we have obviously social happening, collaboration happening in this document. This really is a very, very different and new and we think better way to work.